Hey everyone, welcome to the RKH podcast. Welcome back, or welcome, like if it's your first time here. I'm so happy to have you on my podcast, or the RKH podcast, Beyond the Eyes. I am a psychic healer, former lawyer, and a life coach, here to guide you through anything to do with spirituality. And the next sector of my podcast episodes are going to be all about narcissism, or generally toxic relationships, karmic relationships, and why they exist. You may be wondering whether I've had these if you're new, because I am a psychic healer. People think you're going to be evolved to the point of never attracting this mirrored shadow energy to you. Absolutely not true. I am currently going through my second divorce, which was an unexpected one, and I dealt with a lot of narcissistic traits. And so I wanted to kind of come on as a guide to let you know, well, why this happens now that I've healed through most of it, and also what signs to look out for, as well as not gaslighting yourself in this experience, right? Generally, I am a 5-1 in human design, so I need to really experience things through the fullest extent, even if it means making others unhappy, and then I get to teach you all about that. If you want to know more about human design, you can check out my free guide. Everything is linked in the description, okay? So let's dive into the topic. The first episode is just going to be about really diving into the reasons why we have these relationships. Okay, so when we come onto Earth, we are essentially signing up for life, our life purpose to be mirrored to us, through us, and in our experiences. A lot of the time, if not all of the time, this involves other people, no matter the style of relationship this is, right? So we mirror where our wounding is, whether that's because of our past lives, our present life, or because of what we want to achieve in the future. We are also simultaneously breaking generational curses and patterns as we go through this level and layers of healing. And you may be wondering, well, why would I want to come here and be hurt? I mean, your soul signed up to be a part of a video game. And so if you start to think of your life kind of like this avatar that you've put on, and you are meant to up level every lifetime you have until you graduate Earth, which is the game. And if you are resisting that, because you don't understand that we live in a video game, you're naturally going to persist through some harder times and challenges, and that's completely normal. I like to think of us at the earlier incarnations of life when you keep on going through that. But if you're listening to this, that's likely not you. You are here to learn more about it, or you're just being snoopy, and that's totally okay. All right, so when we come here onto Earth, we already know, for the most part, what relationships we are going to get into. We have our free will, but we also know on a soul level what is fated. So the longer we stay in situations that are maybe fated for us, that are meant to teach us something, for us to break a certain soul contract or pattern, then we can prolong our suffering. For me, suffering was something that I built a huge tolerance around. I think just while talking to my coach and my counselor, my coach is in the spiritual world. I have a spiritual coach, life coach. So we go through similar things, being divine feminines and in twin flame dynamics, that way of like having really hard catalysts to break through a lot of the barriers that we've had, the intergenerational stuff. We just signed up for that because it helps us inform our practice more. But generally, through these conversations, I've learned that the high tolerance I have is actually something I don't need, and is not normal, and has led me to be in dangerous situations mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, time and time again. What's really interesting, I would say, about myself is that I go in with a really high standard, and once I want to see something through, my standard kind of dwindles, and that is often taken advantage of, whether it's in friendship or relationship. And that's something that I've had to really sit down with myself around and be like, well, how did you get here? Like how do you keep manifesting this, and why do the wounds come up? And that's an intergenerational thing, that's a lineage thing, that's a past life situation. So we have the ability to heal that. Once we see what is being projected to us as a part of our purpose, we can detach, disassociate a little bit, and understand that we have the ability to overcome that. A lot of people start to identify with their trauma. They think they want to be saved, right? They look at the lack of respect as something they can't control, because we are taught to stay in situations. We are not really given permission to grow, especially if we are surrounded by individuals that don't want us to grow, right? If you're surrounded by individuals that want things to remain the same, no matter who that is in your life, you're likely not going to have the ability to get out of that unless you take control of it and move forward, unless you get sick of your own shit. And usually that is what occurs time and time again. The wounding that we have, like I said, is something that is a reparenting we need to do based on the trauma that we've endured. So if we have somebody treating us a certain way, we are breaking a generational cycle, like I've already said a couple of times, or we are seeing where we are not valuing ourselves enough, where we are not valuing our growth, maybe our independence, our emotions, and where we have lowered our expectations of what life is for us. The hardest thing to do is going to be to say, I deserve this without having confirmation of that 3D thing, right? A lot of people are going to manifest the best relationship, or I'm going to manifest $1 million. And then you're like, well, how am I going to get that? How is that possible for me? Our belief system is something that we rewire through these very negative times. And that helps you change many areas of your life. That is super, super important to remember. Another thing is you are meant to learn through your experiences. How are you automatically going to know something? One, if you were not taught it, if that's not what you observed in your life growing up, how are you going to know different, right? Secondly, if you haven't had the luxury, let's say, or the chance to dismantle that programming in a past life, or you haven't been given permission to do that in a healthy way in your present life, you're likely going to associate more with the negative patterns that are coming from your past energy in lives where you've had maybe a soul contract with this individual, or they're coming back again and karma is being rebalanced, or this negativity is happening again. Our learned experiences are something that we are programmed with from 0 to 7. What we witnessed from that time and we absorbed, and what we continue to absorb after that until we are an adult, or even before our teenage years up until 11, 12, is what we are going to mirror in our relationships in order for us to heal, at least a majority of the time. Then we go into that mode of, well, I don't want that. This is what I witnessed. I don't want that because this doesn't feel good. And those are those moments that help you shift out of it, which is why they say you will never be able to settle in a place you do not have peace. That is something that we don't know right away. That's something that we don't see right away. And that is all right, because we are reframing something that has become so hardwired within us, we do not know anything different. Or we are born with this programming already that it is our absolute default, and all that's happened throughout life is that's been validated and updated and reassured through our lived experiences, through our relationships, through watching parents, through watching siblings, through watching your family, through watching grandparents. So me as a guide is here to teach you what to look out for and what things are not normal, as well as what can happen in these episodes that are coming as signs and symbols to look out for when you are in an unhealthy situation. Of course, it's going to be up to you to make those overall decisions. Of course, I empower you to make the decision that feels the most aligned. For me, I've gone in unaligned situations because I had to learn something. I then walked away when I'm like, yeah, this is really not serving, on a different level, when you've absorbed enough to know, yeah, this is not something that should be tolerable. This is not something that brings me peace. Some people get there before others do. Some people have issues in other areas of their life and not relationships, right? So we all have something that we've come on or to earth to heal. So don't compare. They say comparison is, what do they say? Envy. I don't know, whatever they say, that quote, right? Like, you take away all of your joy when you start to compare yourself to those around you, as well as where you think you should be and where others are. But also you can take that as a positive sign of what is possible for you. But remember, social media is a highlight reel, and people's lives are not always what they seem on the inside or behind closed doors as they are on the outside. So the most that you can do for yourself is to continue to embody the individual that is deserving of all of those things. Ways in which you do that is not overcompensating, not chasing, not begging, working on your attachment style. I have an episode a few back about attachment styles. If you are in an insecure attachment style, an anxious, avoidant, or one that is a combination of both, disoriented in those ways, you don't have a secure attachment style, you're going to continue to have that fix, that trauma bond response. So it's very important to look at, well, how long am I going to be in that dynamic for, thinking that it's the other person, right? You're chasing something, it's going to run away. If you're in a situation where you're constantly chasing, or you're constantly trauma bonding, or you're constantly feeling neglected, you have to ask yourself why that is something that you have tolerated. Why is this something that I'm continuing to go toward? And the answer is almost always going to be because of what you have witnessed and what you are now replicating. And maybe you haven't seen that growing up, but there is something that is being healed within you from this life or a past life that is meant to bring you more joy, that is meant to bring you more peace, that is meant to bring you more understanding and love in and toward yourself. Okay? We start to really cope negatively in these scenarios. We start to lose ourselves in these scenarios. What you need to remember is that the shadow person of low vibration, negative energy, is always going to feed off of your light until you become a shell of a person. And before that is when you get to make the choice that you're not going to lose your light. You're not going to continue to give up what you truly believe to appease another individual, right? And a lot of people, because they are empathetic, will continue to put themselves in that situation. And your guides are like, no, we don't want that for you. No, we don't want you to continue to do the things that are not going to serve you. We don't want you to be in a place where you're second best all of the time, because when you're second best all of the time in your mind, you're always fighting to be first. You're fighting to be first without embodying that you are that individual. And so then you look at your external world, your external reality, to validate that need and that want, right? You're looking at everybody around you saying, well, why are they not showing me this? And the real question is, why are you not showing yourself? That is when the inner work and the awakening moment really happens, when you start to crack open and understand that sovereignty is the truest gift of all. And we come alone and we go alone. We don't go with the things. Unfortunately, we don't go with the people. We go with the memories. So you want to make sure you're making positive ones. You want to make sure that you are creating a space of safety. So it's really important to make sure that your mindset is tuned into that and that you are allowing yourself to do it, because people around you, I'll let you know, are not going to convince you to, majority of the time. Sometimes not even the people that are causing the trauma have the ability to see that. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they have their blinders on in their own life, but they can see external that this is not right for you. So maintaining healthy patterns, maintaining your standard, and knowing that you deserve to feel the best, you deserve to heal, is going to allow you to see where your boundaries are required, where they need to be at this time. A lot of people start to give up their boundaries to please individuals because they fear the boundary. They fear having high standards. I've been victim of that. I've been guilty of that. More than once with multiple people. I was continuously told in my past relationship by multiple people that what I wanted was not what I would get. What I wanted was not what I deserved. What I wanted was not something that was okay because it's not what they wanted. Right? Should have been a sign years ago when it started to happen, but I just ignored it because I was a people pleaser. I ignored it because I thought I was too much. I ignored it because I thought that I will be so empathetic and I'll put all of my wants and my needs aside to please other people, to be paraded around like a trophy. That is what happens to people with light, because they are so worried about making sure that the shadow is not disrupted, by making sure that they stay in this box to allow other individuals to be better. But only we can choose to be better. Only we can choose to be the person we want to be. And that is what this series is going to really empower you to do. We're going to talk about the signs to look out for. We're going to talk about things you may have gone through. And we are going to empower you to be the healthiest version of yourself so you can manifest and maintain the healthiest relationships. But be aware, that means the way in which you view your current relationships will likely shift based on your own tolerance and based on what maybe you have enabled and based on what others are okay with. All right. I'm currently shifting my membership into a relationship bootcamp. If you want to know how to have healthy relationships inside and out, from relationships, love life, family, friends, you want to do the inner work and you want to have a solid community, we are starting on September the 1st. And it'll be going on every single month. We are starting with inside out healing, and we're going to progress towards the healing elements of finding love external and what that really entails. I would love to have you. You can join via the link in my bio. If it's live, you're going to be able to get right in. If it's not live, you can get on the email notification list and you can be added in on September the 1st. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I'd love if you leave me a review below. It helps me get to other individuals like yourself. And if you want to book a reading, you can also do that via the link in my description. And I hope to catch you guys next time. Bye.